Hello everyone, welcome back. So Sunday night has arrived and the night has come to take the cover off this car and have a look what lies underneath. I just want to thank everyone quickly for your input over the last week. It's been pretty cool to see everyone share stories and I guess put guesses forward of what may lie under the cover and delve back into the memory banks from the early 2000s. A lot of people have a genuine connection with these cars and look back on this era with fond memories. So it was really cool to dig some of them up and I share some stories that have been hidden away for nearly 20 years. That being said, let's get into it and we'll see what lies under the cover. I've received a few private messages throughout the week via the Facebook page and a lot of it revolves around the question, why aren't we doing a Commodore and electing to do a Falcon again? The reality is it's a practical thing. So as you know, FTR3 and the Supercheap Auto Falcon were both in BA trim when they came into the workshop and they've since been reverted back to an AU Falcon form as they were originally. That leaves us with a surplus of BA parts. As you'll see here, we've got a BA rear bar off FTR3 and it's absolutely immaculate. It's date coded from 2004. It's built to main game spec, it's fully composite, and there's not one repair on it. And there's just simply none of these around anymore. And we've also got boots, rear wings, we've got a lot of BA parts that are really, really immaculate and probably the best example in Australia. So what we've elected to do is trying to put together a package that we can utilise these parts on a project blueprint car. And I have got a connection with this car that's under the cover. I have had for over a decade. So we're going to assess this car and just see if we can put together a package that'll see this car restored and hopefully present one of the best examples of a project blueprint Falcon from this era. I mentioned in Friday night's clues that this car is a B Series Falcon. I'll narrow it down further. It's a BA and it raced in the main game in 2003 and 2004. Winning races in both years. It then went on to the development series and raced there from 2005 through to 2007, adding to its tally of race wins in that time as well. Now, I also mentioned that there was a controversial race win. Now, there was a few of them, which we'll cover, but you'll see in this footage here, this car took advantage of an incident between Mark Skaife and Marcus Ambrose on the last lap of Darwin in 2004. Entering the last lap in third place, this car swept through to take the race win, while the two cars in front of him ended up off in the dirt. A year earlier, this car clean swept the weekend on the Gold Coast, winning both races. It wasn't without controversy once again, as an after-race press conference escalated into an argument with two drivers debating a pit lane merging rule, what was allowed and what wasn't, and threats were allegedly made depending on what side of the fence you sit on. This sparked an ongoing feud between these two drivers, which did escalate as the year went on and really created a divide between Ford and Holden drivers, setting the tone for one of the best eras of V8 Supercars.
Hey? I didn't feel anything. Sorry, mate. Hit my car. Still 2 rounds to go, dude. Be careful.
No,
So remember that.
is that a threat? You're threatening me. Is that a threat? You said there's 2 rounds to go, that's a threat.
I didn't say anything.
Mate, if Stewart's find you guilty, that's not my problem.
The final clue we offered on Friday night was around championship winning drivers, saying that there were 3 of them that drove this car at V8 Supercar events. Now these 3 drivers are Russell Ingall, Mark Winterbottom, and the third one is a little bit controversial, but it does pass the test. You'll notice in these NatSoft numbers and results here, Marcus Ambrose in practice 1 at 2004 Bathurst, his car failed on the very first lap of practice and he ended up jumping in this car to complete practice and get some laps in while his car was being repaired. So the 3 drivers that have driven this car at a V8 Supercar event that have won a championship, Russell Ingall, Mark Winterbottom and Marcus Ambrose. Now there is one other slightly controversial incident this car was involved in. You may have heard of it. It involves Mark Skaife,
Russell Ingall and Eastern Creek Raceway in the final race of the 2003 season.
In such tense conditions, but I don't know. This is Russell Ingall and Mark Skaife. We said that it was a very, very fiery situation brewing.
I tell you what, it looks to me like Russell's got a bit of a case to answer there.
Reacted this way. Now watch this. Look at the scaife attitude and look what Ingle does in response. Now we've seen drivers, we've seen...
Out of everything this car's achieved, it's won races all around Australia. It's even won a national touring car championship after its life finished in V8 Supercars, which we'll cover in a future video. Its most iconic moment was the shriek at the creek in 2003 at Eastern Creek Raceway, the altercation between Mark Scaife and Russell Ingle, the retaliation from Mark, Russell Ingle then swerving at him in retaliation to Mark's character reference. It's one of Supercar's most iconic moments, and it's really cool that some 22 years on, this footage is still replayed, it's still discussed, and it remains a divisive point between Ford and Holden fans. So now we know what car it is, I'll introduce you to Stone Brothers Racing BA01. It's Russell Ingle's first Ford, Stone Brothers Racing's first BA. It's also the first BA to win a race, which is Albert Park 2003, and it's a really cool piece of Supercars history. So you may look at this car and say, hey, it's already restored. In reality, that's not the case. Now the story is with this car is it raced around till just over a decade ago, and then from that point the car was taken off the track and it was repainted to be presented in its 2003 livery, and that was done so V8 Supercars could use it for some promotional activities. So even a decade on, it still carries some scars from its last race, and the only work that's been done to it in that time is really a paint job and a few stickers. Now you can see even by looking at the car, you don't have to look too hard to find out some imperfections. You look at the way that passenger side door meets up. There's a fairly sizable gap there. You can see up the top here as well. And if I barely touch the door, here's my little finger, you touch that and it's got a massive amount of spring on it. So there's a lot of things that are quite bent on this car, so it does need a lot of work. And in fairness, all that was done to it was a paint job, so it was never going to be perfect. So as I said earlier, we've got I guess some surplus BA parts that we have available to us that we feel could be utilised on this car. So the idea is to sit down, go over everything, work out what we have here, and see if we can neaten up this car, both cosmetically and mechanically, to make it a really nice restored example. Another little piece I'll show you without looking too hard. You look at the rear bar, you can see it's been repaired so many times. Nothing really lines up there. There's a big lip. And if you come around this side, you can see here too, there's a gap there you could drive a truck through. So just lots of little 1%ers. One positive, looking at the car or the back of the car, you can see it still has the dual rain light at the back, which the Stone Brothers ran. That has survived the test of time, which is pretty cool. So there's just going to be a lot of things like that we need to go over. And obviously the mechanical side of things as well. The car hasn't been started, or the engine hasn't been even turned over in over a decade. There's 0 volts in the battery. So there's going to be a lot to do mechanically as well. But given these cars, as time marches on, are becoming more historically significant, we feel it's a good opportunity to get into this car and restore it back to its former glory. So we will put together some videos and go over the car mechanically in more detail. But just to give you a quick look tonight, just so you get a bit of an idea what's ahead. So if we lift the bonnet on the car, you can see there the engine's there, and I haven't been over it in detail yet. We'll obviously film that and share that with you when we do, but it does look to be original. That does look to be an original Stone Brothers airbox, and by no means has the car been, had a NASCAR engine put in it or anything like that. It's maintained a 5-litre V8 Supercar engine its whole life, so that's a really exciting, starting point. You can see here, if we move around this way, the exhaust system isn't on the car. Now we do have that. Now the reason why the exhaust isn't on the car, if we come inside, the gearbox has been removed. Now the reason that's no longer there is the last time this car was raced, it was raced with a sequential gearbox. Obviously that's not period correct, so that was removed and sold some time ago, and we're trying to find a really good condition Hollinger H-pattern 6-speed gearbox. Now just to quickly show you, and again we'll cover this in future videos, but you can just see how far ahead of the game Stone Brothers were with their presentation of their cars. You look at all that beautiful carbon fibre work, you even look at the Motec dashboard, it's recessed into the dash. It's just a really, really neat setup. And one thing that's really cool, the iconic anti-roll bar levers have survived. They were the main things you saw when they cut away to the in-car camera, either on Marcus Ambrose's car or this one for Russell Ingall. They have survived the test of time, some 20 odd years on. So as you can see, there's a fair bit happening in the workshop of late, but it's a really exciting time. Keep in mind, this isn't my full-time job. I only do this as a hobby on the side, so I will keep the information coming through the best I can. It does really get impacted by work from time to time, so we do get a lot of messages from people wanting more content. In reality, I can only do what work will allow me to do, unfortunately, as was pretty standard in life, so we will keep you updated the best we can. Obviously, we'll put together some content on the Stone Brothers Falcon and we'll keep that coming through. But the main priority at the moment is to get the fabrication work finished on FTR3. And when I say the fabrication work, we're talking the AU conversion. So the car can be then shipped off for the roll cage to be completed. Now, this car will disappear for a while at that point. And the idea behind that is to then spend a bit of time on the Stone Brothers Falcon as well and understand what this car needs moving forward and if that's going to be achievable long term. And also to get the Ellery Supercheap Auto AU finished. Now this car will take priority over the Stone Brothers BA. There's a few tidy up jobs we've got to finish on this car, and then we're really looking forward to getting it back on track and getting it turning some laps again for the first time in a very long time. So there's a lot coming up. I'm not 100% across when, where and how just yet, but as it all comes to hand and we navigate through it all, we'll keep you in the loop. As I said, I've got absolutely zero experience with social media side of things, so I do appreciate your support, and yeah, hopefully you're enjoying the journey and we'll keep the information coming. So thanks again. I'll speak to you soon.